Hey, I found a really interesting article here on a website called The Chakra or chakranews.com, and it's very interesting, has a lot of good articles about Hinduism and Vedic teachings and whatnot. And this one is about caste, the caste system, and it's called Monster with Many Heads. Is caste only a Hindu problem? And it really reframes and frames the modern caste system in a new way. Well, it actually just explains it for the modern mind. It's very hard to get our head around a lot of these Indian teachings, especially the ones that came from, the age of Sanatana Dharma and or from the philosophies of Sanatana Dharma, which are the teachings of the Vedas and the Vedic people. Hinduism is really a religion that's very similar to many religions. It's not that different, at least in language and philosophy, and than Christianity or Muslim faith, in the sense that it's about worship. It's about certain times you're supposed to worship these deities. Now, what's different is that Hinduism is actually the religious form of Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma means the universal truth. For instance, Sanatana Dharma doesn't only say that Hinduism is the right religion. In Sanatana Dharma, which includes yoga and Ayurveda and astrology and Vastu, all cultures and all paths to God are glorious and worthy. Like, for instance, when you go to a yoga temple, they honor Jesus as a divine being, Mohammed. So the difference between Sanatana Dharma and, for instance, other schools of thought is that all beings are divine, and Hinduism isn't the only right religion. So this is the framework of Sanatana Dharma, and Hinduism as a religion is very open because it's based on Sanatana Dharma. But in this modern world, it's very easy because we live in the dark ages. Well, we're coming out of the darkest of the dark ages, but we still live in a time when Dharma and truth is not easily understood. And so back in the days when Sanatana Dharma was a prevailing philosophy, things like the caste system were employed to give people a better understanding of their station in life and how different segments of society perform their dharmic function. And societies back then functioned in a dharmic way, including war and teaching. In this day and age, it's hard to look at war as being something that's dharmic, although it's often packaged that way, that we're protecting truth and whatnot. Usually war has a lot of corrupt goals, for instance, business and whatnot, and people that are in the government, for instance, are often, quite suspect, which, this is all the warrior caste. When we talk about warriors in this day and age, it's often hard to look at them as something, righteous and virtuous, in the sense that, with politicians and whatnot, kings and royalty, because we live in such a corrupt time. But the caste system in general is actually showing the virtuous qualities of each of these different stations in life. There are Brahmins, the teachers, which, again, that often includes the religious group. We look at religion quite skeptically because it's been so exploited. That's the Brahmin caste. The warrior caste are the kings and the army and the military and the government. Again, easy to look at them with suspicion. Then you have the Vaishya caste, which are the merchants. Again, even businessmen, business people. We look at them with skepticism. They're out to rip you off. Advertising is all to exploit you. And then you have the worker caste, which that's looked at as being honorable, for instance, but it's also kind of looked down because it's maybe not as sophisticated, at least in a stereotypical way. So we tend to look at everything with suspicion in this day and age. But that doesn't mean it's meant to be, that there's absolutely corruption involved with this. The other thing is that as we evolved, or as we came out of the more enlightened age, the caste system was used to exploit people. In India and around the world, we often discriminate based on caste. And, this kind of class warfare is rife. So this is a very interesting article here at this website called Monster with Many Heads. Is caste only a Hindu problem? And I encourage you to check it out and read it. And also, then come back and let me know what you think of that and how you think the caste system has influenced your life and what it means to you, what the caste system means to you. Leave me a message and start a nice conversation about this. It's really important stuff.